You know that saying, life imitates art? Well, it's true, and I have a case study to prove it. That's right. Do you remember last week's episode, the title of it? If you don't worry. Let me jog your memory. I sound like one of those professors. I ask a rhetorical question. No one in my class is paying attention. Like, everyone's so asleep, and like half the class doesn't show up because they figured out that, oh, attendance doesn't matter in school because you'll just post all the stuff I need online. So, you're honestly unnecessary. There's no reason for teachers to exist, really. But let's not get into that. But that was kind of the timing I just went with there. I was like, you know this class? No response? Well, don't worry. Let me tell you about it. Anyways, you know this saying, life imitates art? Well, it's true, and I got a case study. You remember last week's podcast episode? The title of it was That Guy That Calls Everyone Boss. That's right. And I talk about, there's a big segment in there about people that calls other people boss and how it can make you feel safe sometimes, but then other times you're like, is that is that something they just picked up? Because if it's within the last 30 days, there's still time to return it. And I think they should. Well, this past week, I caught up with the old BFF, Hoyer, Andrew Hoyer. That's right. And we haven't talked. No, I mean, we've talked, but we haven't hung out. Gotten dinner, caught up. My bad. Since like mid July. So we're trying to figure out where do we want to eat. We're finally lined up time. I finally got the gutsto, gutsto. I finally got the the cojones to finally get out of my room. And he said, "Well, where do you want to eat? Where are we doing dinner?" And really, when I'm in Roseville, there's like three options. With us, it's like, do you want to go to Claim Jumpers? Do you want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings? Or do you want to go to Red Robin? But I had forgotten about Red Robin, really. I was in the parking garage of a hospital trying to sort through all the options in my head, and I forgot Red Robin. So I only really came up with Claim Jumper and Buffalo Wild Wings. I was like, well, we're going to do a lot of talking, right? And whenever we go to Buffalo Wild Wings, it's so fucking loud all the time. Like, it's so hard to have a conversation, and we always find ourselves, being in one of those seats like right below a TV, but there's like 37 TVs in every Buffalo Wild Wings, and then they wonder why they go out of business. It's so much to keep those things running, guys. What do you think is costing you money? Okay? It's not the chicken wings. The chicken wings, I mean, everyone sells chicken wings. You think that's what's gutting you? No, it's the giant fucking HD displays you got pinned all around this place, all right? I get claustrophobic in there sometimes. This way I look and there's football, this way I look there's golf, and then this way I look there's frisbee golf, and I'm like, all right, we're covering all our bases. Shuffleboards over there. I'm like, that's not even. Oh no, those are real people playing shuffleboard. That's right, they have shuffleboard there too. They don't. I just made that up. That I'm a Im, impulsive, impulsive and compulsive liar, I guess. But I was like, let's not do Buffalo Wild Wings, right? So obvious other option, Claim Jumper, because I forgot about Red Robin. So I was like, you want to do sorry, you want to do Claim Jumper? He says, sure, sounds good. And just let me know when you're ready. But then, he used the wrong your. So I called him out. And then he said, I'm actually good. I've already eaten. I was like, yeah, no, that sounds about right. So no, we go to Claim Jumper and we sit down. We get a booth in the bar area, and this gentleman comes up and he said, "Hey boys, how we doing?" And we're like, "Good, doing great. I'm doing well, in fact." And then Hoyer was like, "All right, stop plugging your shit." And I was like, "My bad." And he's like, "Can I get a drink started for you guys?" And we're like, "Yeah, we'll just have a water to start." And he was like, "All right, well, I'll drop off these happy hour menus to you. We're it's kind of over time, but for you boys, I'll let happy hour keep going. You guys showed up. How much happier can this hour get? I thought it couldn't, and now you're here. Look at us." He didn't say that, but he said something along the lines of that. It was the same energy, you know? So he was like, "Yeah, for you boys, I'll keep the happy hour going." And we're like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And it's like, "So yeah, take a look at those menus," and then he leaves. And I look at Hoyer and I'm like, when does happy hour end? Like, I was like, are we really that late? Like, I thought it was, I know it gets dark really early, but I thought it was still a decently early time. Whereas, like, happy hour ends at 7. I look down at my phone. I go, it's 6:37. Happy hour is still 23 more minutes, until it expires. He's like, yeah, I don't know. And I was like, so what's this guy talking about? This absolute charlatan of the highest degree. What does he mean? I'll keep this happy hour running for you boys. It still is happy hour. You fraudster. How dare you? But I knew this guy's deal, getting all chummy with the 20-something-year-olds that are just trying to get some chicken wings and pizza. But, we're responsible boys. It's a Tuesday night. We're not going to drink. I mean, mostly because I don't drink. But besides the fact, that's not relevant. It's actually extremely relevant. But we just go waters, We go, we have a very, no. I was going to say something. I'm like, no, that's not a good thing to say, is it? It's not a bad thing to say. It's just like, I don't know. Does it mean the right thing? Anyways, we just go waters, It's a dry dinner. And it goes well. It's a good dinner. We catch up. We learn some things about each other. It's been half a year. I feel like I'm relearning the guy, And then it comes with the check, Our saving man, our saving grace. The man that I'm considering making the God, you know, father of my child. That's right, that waiter and I, we got close. All because he extended happy hour that was already existing. That's messed up. Can I just go back to that? That's not. He was selling a product that was already the norm. That's like, you're trying to buy a car, and the guy's like, "For you, I'll do 20,000." And I'm like, "Oh my god, I thought it was 18,000, but now you're presenting 20 like it's a deal." And I'm like, "How much is it usually?" And he's like, "It's 20." I'm like, "Then why'd you just say it like it's like I'm getting a deal?" He's like, "Well, you are getting a deal." I'm like, "I'm really not. I came in here thinking 18. Now we're dancing with 20. This isn't where I thought we'd be, honestly." But if you just went by the tone of your voice, you would have thought, oh my God, I'm saving millions here. That's what it felt like. Yeah, I'll extend happy hour for you boys. That's just normal. What do you mean? You go into school, class, I'm feeling grateful today. I'm gonna make your homework due Friday. Uh, teach. It was I thought it was already Friday. You're right, Gauruv. Yep. So sorry, but maybe a little bit of brain fog from all the assignments. But doesn't that mean you're not changing anything? No, yeah, you're exactly right, Garb. Okay, so then why'd you present it like you said you're feeling nice, I'm gonna make it due Friday. You made it seem like it's like, I'm gonna make it due Friday instead. But you're just like re-announcing what we already know. All right, it's due Thursday now, guys. Fuck you, Garv. Oh man, what the hell? It was like that. But I have to lie. But I can't lie. Sorry. It's very different things to what I just said. But I can't lie. I was smitten. This man had me charmed through and through. Oh, loved him. He comes with a check. And, Hoyer pays a check, a little B-day dinner. That's right. Oh, feeling pretty good. Getting older, but, people start paying for my shit. Maybe it's going to be worth it, No. Hoyer pays, and the guy comes to take the check and says, "Let me take care of that for you, boss." And mind you, this is a Tuesday. I was a little late last week posting my episode. I recorded it like 7 p.m. or whatever. I think it was like 7:55 p.m. or something like that. So I had gotten it up. That Monday, like past midnight. I think it was like 12:04 if I remember correctly. And so the same day, that was technically Tuesday this past week. The same day I posted this podcast titled "That Guy That Calls Everyone Boss," we get this waiter, and he hit us with a boss. And now you're probably like, all right, Garv, well, which one was it? Did it suit him? Or did it feel awkward? And no, he rocked it. He's a boss guy. I mean, he wasn't the boss, but he's a boss guy. I think he rocks a boss. Pretty nice. But I just thought it was so interesting. You know, he said boss, and I took a moment. Looked at Hoyer. I was like, do you know what I just titled my podcast episode? He was like, yeah. It was like something along the lines, yeah, right? About people calling people boss. I was like, exactly. The same day, today. So isn't that crazy? That life imitates art. But it also, there's a big argument. I looked it up. Is the saying life imitates art or is it art imitates life? And I think both work. But there was like some philosopher, like some artist or someone in the old ages that said they're both right, but more often life imitates art. But that doesn't mean that art can't imitate life. That's right. And let me tell you what, I got a case study for that too, because I got some art that imitates life right here. That's right. You see this mug? It's got the podcast logo on it. Well, you're probably like, oh, God, how big can this guy's ego get? But it's okay. It wasn't me that fluffed myself. It was Hoyer. He got me some birthday gifts, and a few months ago, he asked me, do you have a high quality PNG file of your logo? I said, of course. So I sent it to him. And I was like, what's this for? He's like, well, someone's getting some ink. So I was like, oh, someone's getting a tattoo. But he just said that to throw me off my trail, you know? He didn't want me sniffing him out. Well, like I said, we haven't hung out since July. So we finally, my birthday, December 19th, we finally hung out. He hit me with some birthday gifts. Great gifts. Fantastic work. I even told him, I'm like, I'm a little pissed off because now I need to beat you. That's the thing with these birthdays. I need, if you get me a birthday gift, I need to beat you. This is probably something I will need to work out, but for now it's friendly competition, okay? But God, just know that this was just part of it. So he got me a mug with my face on it and then my handle on the back. That's right, there's more to it. And I think the funniest part of this gift, as amazing as this gift is, this isn't even the best part of it to me. To me, I think the best part about this gift is the fact that he actually got 2 of these. One he broke just, to feel better about himself, but then he gave me one. No, I got one, right? The mug I just showed you, but then he bought a second one for himself. And to me, that's the funniest shit ever. And he even told me, his mom sometimes walks by his room, sees him using it, and she's like, doesn't it feel weird that you're drinking out of Garv's head? And he said, well, yeah, when you point it out, it is really fucking weird. So how about we stop talking about it? And then he goes right back to sipping. So let me just say, he texted me 2 days ago. When is this going to be in a video? I said Monday, and here we are, folks, Monday, and it's in the video. So here you go, Hoyer. I doubt you listened up until this point, because I took you on a ride for 16 minutes. So you probably just fast forwarded, but I did it. I showed the mug, so you can go ahead and click off now. I know you don't listen to these because honestly, why the fuck would you? There's really no reason. We've been friends for 14, 15 years? Why? Why would you need to hear more of my voice? So there it is. There's a gift. I presented it on camera. Okay, now get out of here. You don't need a beer anymore. Now it's back to the usual crowd, right? People that are usually here. Well, let's talk about this. A few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I want to revisit a subject, actually. I talked about how I visit that room. I'm going to keep calling it a room. I don't want to give away specifics. But I talked about how I visit that room often on campus when I go on my walks. Do you remember that? And I was talking about how weird it is, things that humans do. I was like, there's no reason that people do these things, right? It doesn't make any sense. So I was like, well, why don't I get it more, right? Why do I visit that room? I didn't have it figured out 2 weeks ago, but I've gone on a couple walks since then. And it was actually last week that I went on a walk. I was outside that same room. I looked inside of it and I thought, okay, Gauruv, you just talked about this on your podcast. and you didn't know why you do this. So let's take a moment here while you're doing it and try to really think about what is the reasoning behind this. And I got a little more insight. I think I have a little more progress made on my findings, you know? And as I was looking in there, I noticed, oh, what am I looking for? What is this thing I'm chasing? And it's familiarity. I was looking for, every time I go and look in that room, I look for something that reminds me of that day. And already the room is the reminder, but it's if I can see something in the same place. Like the table I was sitting at in that room, it's not there because like they don't allow indoor seating because of COVID. But I think one day I'm just hoping to go and look in that room and see that table with the two chairs. And I think that familiarity, the recreation of that set, as we'll say, I think I'm looking for that. Because if I can see that room in the way that it was when I was there 2 years ago, I think it'll like make the memory like hit harder, be more potent. And so I think that's why I keep visiting, because I'm trying to look for that exact like setup. And then I saw it actually this week reflected in a different way, not in like a physical way, but like digitally. I went through, I don't know why I was doing this, but I went through my like Instagram story archive and I went back to this story back in like, I think it was like July or some shit. And I remember looking at that. I haven't looked in that story or at that story for so long because there's no reason to. You don't really, the only things I post on my story are like when I self promote my videos. But there was a video I promoted. I remember it didn't really do well, but I had like a really good day that day. And I don't know why, but I clicked on that story and then it popped full screen and it like hit me like really hard, like the memory of that day. Because I remember looking at that story being like, this video didn't do well at all. But I was like, but today was a really good fucking day. And then that's what kind of made it full circle and made me realize that's why I keep visiting that room. I'm trying to look for the same exact thing I was looking at 2 years ago so that the memory of that day will hit me super hard. Because right now it's pretty weak. I look in, I'm like, I know this is where it happened, but it's not quite the same. And when I talked about this idea last week or 2 weeks ago, this idea of like, why do I visit this place where this thing happened? I don't know if it's right after I posted it or like as I was editing it, I realized, oh wait, this is kind of like why people visit places, right? Like famous places where a thing happened. Because there's no reason, right, to visit some of these places. It's like, oh, that's just a big green field. But it's like, yeah, but that's where, this happened. Or like, let's try to use a real concrete example, pun intended. The Colosseum, right? I don't know if it's made out of concrete, but like the Colosseum, it's such a, dilapidated, giant, just thing. It has really no use, but everyone goes and sees it because of what took place there however many years ago. And I know that, this room that I keep talking about is not like the Colosseum, but it's like my Colosseum. And the battle I fought there 2 years ago. No. But that's why I find like, visiting a Colosseum, I've been there, but sometimes I even, this is a cynical part of me creeping out, but like sometimes I look at people and like being like, oh, we're in the Colosseum. I'm like, well, but why the fuck do you feel any connection to this place? It's not like you had that experience here. It's not like you fought to the death in these places. Or else you'd be dead. You wouldn't be here visiting it all these years later, And that's the only reason that you're able to visit it now. Because you didn't fight in it. It couldn't be that it's hundreds of years old. No. It's that you didn't fight. But I was like, oh no, this is just like monuments. So many monuments are ironically not monumental. I mean, sure, the like when you attach context to it, wow, amazing, right? But sometimes it's just a room to someone that doesn't have the context. And that's exactly what it is for me. Like, what, Anne Frank's house? That's like a um, historical, like, monument or like place you can go, but it's just a house. But it's the story behind it. It's everything, the context that gives it its life, and it makes millions of people want to go and visit it. And it's the same thing with this room, except I'm the only real person, and I guess the other person I was with that day, I guess me and that person are the only people that could feel any kind of emotion or feel that specific emotion when going to that room. Who knows? Maybe that room is that room for someone else, but it has a different meaning. It won't have the same meaning of what it means to me. It could still have meaning, but it's a different one. Maybe it's a negative one. Maybe someone went to that room and they spilled something on themselves. And they're like, I fucking hate that room. But to me, I look at that room, I'm like, I love that room because of what happened in there to me. And so I realize that's what I'm chasing. I'm trying to look and see if I remember if this will look like how it looked like 2 years ago so that this memory that I have will hit super hard. Is that a good or a bad thing? I don't know, but I keep doing it. So yeah, I made a little more progress on like why do I keep looking at this room? And that's why. I'm chasing this like familiarity. I'm chasing my Coliseum, you know? That's all it is. I hope that makes sense. If it didn't make sense, I don't think it really, like, I don't think it could make sense because I think that's my best explanation I can give you. But speaking of seeing things around campus, this is also about, 2 weeks ago, I noticed this. Like, I go on walks around campus and there are repairs and like things being built, new buildings and like maintenance on roads taking place everywhere. And it got me thinking, like, there's got to be a metaphor here, right? Like, of course, I was like, you know, when I was a freshman, there was pretty much no construction going on, but only like as the years have gone on and on, there's more and more construction. I was like, oh, this has got to be a metaphor to my life because, I'm a narcissist. So I'm like, boom, I can apply this to my own situation. I can be reflected in this. But then I was like, no, that's not. That's a really surface level, I think, observation. As time has gone on, like there's been more construction, and it's a metaphor for like, oh, that's me improving as a person as the, you know, campus improves. But I'm like, that's stupid. There's not. That's it. That's really as far as that goes. And then I kept thinking about it, and I looked at the construction, and I was like, this is stupid. This is dumb. Why do we keep having construction? Like, when is this going to be over? Like, I know it's a good thing, construction. Like, this is what I've always heard. I remember my mom told me this, and it kind of like changed my like view on construction. Like, whenever you see construction, when I was younger, I was like, this is stupid. Like, they're finally becoming new. But my mom told me something, I think when I was like middle school, high school. And I think it was when we were like touring some colleges or something. She said, well, no, construction is a good sign. It's a good important because it means that the campus has money and they're using it. And I was like, oh my God, that's such a good point. You can't not have money and have construction. It doesn't work like that. You can only have construction if you have money. So when I see construction happening around campus now, I look at it through a lens of like, oh, that's, of appreciation. I'm like, that's good. They're getting better. And then I was like, wait, that's the metaphor. I look at this construction now, and I've been seeing this construction for like 3 years now. And I'm now at the point where I'm like, aren't we done yet? Can we please just be fucking done? At what point are we, how much can we improve? At what point do we just say like, okay, this is good enough, and then just let people fucking exist in this area? But then I thought back to what my mom said. It's good that there's construction. It means that they have money. And then I was like, well, then why am I getting upset at it? If it's a good thing, why am I upset at it? And I was like, oh my God, this is just like people. When people try to improve, we're really supportive. We're like, that's a great thing. That's great. Let's talk about mental health. If someone's trying to improve their mental health, they're going to therapy or whatever, we're always like, that's awesome. That's so good. That's good that you have money, and it's good that you're improving yourself. But then there gets to a point where they're still working on themselves after some amount of time. I don't know how much this amount of time is. It's arbitrary. It's different depending on the situation. But there's a point, and this is fucked up, I think, but there's a point where you go, aren't you done? Aren't you good now? And maybe this isn't a great example, the mental health thing, but if you've ever played sports or you've been, part of a group activity, but we'll use sports because I'm a very athletic person. I'm built like a tank and agile. Sting like a bee, Fly like a, hummingbird? Is that the one? See, sports are in my blood. I know what I'm talking about. Oh no, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. There it is. I was just teasing you. I knew it. I just wanted to see if you were there. But if you've ever played sports, you've had this. Whether it's been you or someone else, someone's gotten an injury on your team. And I've been injured on a team before, so I've experienced it firsthand, but we'll look at it through the lens of someone else on your team getting injured. Let's say someone else on your team gets injured. The first day, let's say they get injured in a game, you're like, oh my God, that sucks. Like, oh, you're so supportive. It's like, get better soon. Like, oh my God, we need you back out here. I can't wait, speedy but safe recovery, okay? And then, a week goes by, 2 weeks goes by, and we're like, all right, you're still getting better. Good for you, man. Like, can't wait to see you back out here. But then it gets into, week 3 or 4, still got the cast on, and you're like, hey man, how's it going? You're not good yet? It's like, nah, 6 week process. So we're really just in the middle of it, honestly. Going into week 4 here. So, no, I don't think I'll be back here for, I would say, another couple weeks. And it makes sense. Of course, that's what the doctor said. That's what we expected. But something happens in the team. An agitation happens. There's a nerve that gets struck. I don't know why it happens, but people are like, no, come on. He's still injured? It's like, yeah, well, the doctor said 6 weeks. Yeah, but, really? Broken hand. It doesn't take that long, We got 2 of them. Just use the other one. It's like, if you're talking about brushing your teeth, that makes sense. But if you're talking about playing the sport, you kind of need both, I would feel like. Whatever. But that transition of emotions happen. Where at the beginning, there's full support. It's like, I want you to get better. Take whatever you need to get better. Then, there's a reasonable middle period where people are like, hey man, you're still doing good? Yeah. Oh my God, it looks like you're recovering. But then there gets to be that period where everyone's just kind of fucking sick of that person. They're like, aren't you fucking good now? We need you on the court. What the fuck are you doing? And that's how I felt when I looked at these repairs. I was like, are you fucking still working on yourself? Can we just be done? And I'm fucking tired of looking at all this scaffolding and these fucking closed off streets. Can't you just open back up? And I thought that was interesting. We're very supportive of people trying to, get better and improve themselves. But there does get a period, and for some it's quick, for some it's longer. And those people are saints, the ones that can go a very long time. But there gets to be a breaking point, I think, with everyone. Like, you ever been sick? That person? Actually, no. Let's say that person didn't break their hand. Let's say they broke their leg, so they need a lot of help. Let's say they broke both their legs, so they can't even go anywhere. Let's say, someone in their family is helping them out. Or, no, that's too close, because a family will go through more for you. Maybe. But a friend, let's say a friend's helping you out. A friend's like, hey man, if you need anything, let me know. It's like, great. Could you actually maybe get some groceries for me? It's like, okay, well, you have a full ass family, but fine, I'll get. I mean, out of everything, groceries, really? That's, you want to like maybe play video games together? Groceries. Okay, sure. I'll get you groceries. And you get this friend, they bring this broken leg person, this torso up man. They bring them food for like 2 weeks, but then let's say week three, it's like, hey man, can you get me that burger from that place? Remember, no pickles. And for some reason, the remember no pickles hits the friend in the wrong way, and they're like, man, fuck this. Fuck you and your no pickle looking ass. Why don't you just get better already, man? Whenever someone's recovering and, they have assistance, there's always a point where that person, and they try to, push it down as much as they can because they want to be a good person, but there gets a point where they're like, fuck, man, why can't this guy just get better already? And that's exactly how I felt about this building. I was like, come on now, just open up, The silo was that way for a long time. The silo was closed for like 2 years, right? Yeah, I'm sure in about a year in, people walked by the silo and they were like, are you fucking kidding me, man? But that's not true because no one was on campus. We were in a pandemic. But I think that happened with Latitude, on Davis's campus, the dining common. I think it was gonna open and they got like pushed back because there was a regulation it didn't meet. There were like loose bolts from what I heard. The like structural integrity of the thing was fucking compromised because of like one procedure they did. So they had to like push out the open date by a couple months. And remember there were some people that were like, "Are you fucking kidding me? We got to wait more." And I was like, "Well, I mean, they're bringing you a whole new dining common. What are you mad about?" And they're like, "Yeah, but why is it taking so long?" And that's what I thought about. And I don't know if it's maybe because of like where I'm at in life right now, but I think you see some people like lose their cool, we'll say, because they're like, yeah, right on, man, trying to get better. But then there gets a point where they're like, hey, bro, you good now? Because like kind of a bummer to hang around with. It's like it's a process. What do you mean? You thought this shit was just gonna fix overnight? And then it got me thinking about like the university. This construction will never end, will it? Because aren't we just gonna keep getting money and there'll always be something to improve? So I'm like, are we just gonna get sick and fucking tired of this place? But then I was like, no, we cycle in every 4 years and we leave. But then I was like, isn't that kind of fucking weird that no one will ever get to experience a university that's just kind of there? There'll always be a thing. Everyone will always have a building that was always under construction. Isn't that weird? Like for me, it was the silo, and then the grad uh, hall, whatever that thing is, Walker Hall, the grad studies building. Pretty much my whole time at university, those things were under construction. And so to me, I'm like, yeah, those buildings were the ones under construction. But, to people in like 3 years, they'd be like, no, that's just Walker Hall. And I'm like, why are you saying it like it's not the brand new thing? They're like, it's not. What are you talking about? I'm like, oh my God, I just aged myself. But I found that that's the metaphor. That's the analogy. People are very supportive of, improvement until they're not. And I'm like, that's sometimes scary, like when you find out when someone's not point is. I mean, this is great. So much construction around campus. 3 months later, man, what the fuck is all this shit? And I felt bad because I was that guy. I looked at this construction, I was like, aren't we done now? But no, I don't think we'll ever be done. Which isn't a problem because what are they trying to do? They're improving. So why am I upset? I don't know. I think it's because we want everything to be perfect, Like when I was younger, I thought adults were perfect people. I know. I thought I was smart when I was younger too. I did fast multiplication, Yeah, I did times tables pretty quick, but I don't think I had book smarts. I didn't have street smarts. I thought adults were put together people, but no, they're just grown up kids. And that's what I'm learning that I think people are under perpetual maintenance, and sometimes that gets exhausting. But you can't let it get to you. I've been watching movies recently. Been getting back into movies. You know the ones, the films, the flicks. And I think I know why I've been getting into movies more because they allow you to, I think, fully escape. Like I watch YouTube videos quite often, but those things are what, 8 to 25 minutes. They don't really let you like really get engulfed in them and then pop out. And plus, I'm just shifting through the comments the whole time. So you're not really like immersed in the whole thing. But with movies, I find you can get lost in the movie. And that's why I love movies so much. That's why I watched, those 34 movies in like a month that time ago because I was trying to get lost. I didn't want to like, deal with real life. And I think I've been doing that recently too. I've been trying to just get lost because I don't want to deal with real life. And it's easy to compartmentalize your life when you watch a movie because nothing else matters. Like when I'm in a movie, I'm in it. And there's no greater feeling than like watching a movie for a while and then you kind of move your mouse to see like how much time is remaining and you see like, ooh, an hour and 10 minutes is remaining. And you're like, oh, yes. Because I know for the next 70 minutes, all I really have to do is watch this movie. I got the phone turned down. I got the popcorn. I got my water. Like, all I have to do is just enjoy this movie. Because for the next 70 minutes, I'm locked in. No one can interrupt this shit. And that's actually, what I felt. I was going to talk about this a few weeks ago. That's kind of how I feel about this podcast. And I kind of look forward to doing this podcast because I've been thinking about it through that angle. That for these 45 minutes, when I press record and record, for the next 45 minutes, this is all I have to do. And there's something very like, that makes me feel good because I know that I don't have to worry about really anything else. Like everything else is happening in my life and other people's lives. But for these next 45 minutes, all I really have to do is talk at this microphone or talk at the camera and into the microphone. I even turned my phone down. My phone is currently upside down right there. I could have a text there, but I don't know. I got Schrodinger's text, I remember actually months ago, I started the podcast, no text on my phone. I ended the podcast, picked up my phone, found out someone had died. And it's so interesting because if my phone was up, about 23 minutes into the podcast is when I would have found out, oh my God, this person died. But my phone was down and I was in the moment. And it's interesting because my reality was that that person was alive until I turned my phone up. Schrodinger's cat. Schrodinger's text. That's right. Life imitates art. And that's what I like about these movies. You turn them on and that's all you got to do. So what movies have I watched? Well, 2 weeks ago I watched The Social Network. The one, Facebook. Why did they make Mark Zuckerberg looks so cool in that movie? He's not. They tried to make him like a badass. Why did they do that? Have you seen the guy talk? He makes NPCs look charismatic. The dude is like a poorly programmed robot. Then I watched 2 days ago, this Saturday. So when you watch this, if you watch it the day it comes out, 2 days ago, Saturday, I watched Sorry to Bother You. Very good movie. Weird movie, but I liked it. It was cool. It wasn't like a relaxing movie, but it was nice nonetheless. There's not much you can say about that movie without, I think, like spoiling it. So just know it's a very eccentric movie. And it's one of those movies where after I started taking parts of the movie and like looking them up, I'm like, so what did this mean in this scene? Like, I think I have an idea, but Oh, that's. Oh, they meant that too? Oh, and then there was an interview at this one festival where the second rider said this thing. Oh, okay. That's interesting. And then today, or not really today, but I guess technically yesterday. So Sunday I watched Sing 2. And Sing 2 is a new movie. So like I didn't know this, but like if you want to rent one of these new movies on like Amazon or whatever wherever, it's $25. What? Why? I get why. Because I was like, oh, if you watch this movie, like I bought it I rented it on Amazon, $25. And I was like, why is it so much? Like, I've never spent that much on a single movie ticket. And I'm like, oh, that's why. Because the idea is probably like, if you're going to buy it on Amazon, it's probably like, oh, your family's going to watch it. You and a group of friends are going to watch it. You're going to watch it with someone else. Little do they know, I don't talk to anyone else. So I fully watched it alone. And I have to pay $25 to watch this movie, but it was worth it. I really, really, truly, Sing is one of my favorite movies. I mean, Sing my middle name. And Sing 2 is such a good movie as well. Oh my God. I watched it. Full disclosure, I cried like 3 different times. The last like 20 minutes of the movie, there were just tears on my cheeks. These ones, what are you talking about? No, I cried multiple times during Sing 2. One of my favorite movies. Like, people always say the sequels aren't that good. Dude, I loved Sing. I was kind of nervous. I was like, are they going to make this a little. But, bro, Sing 2, good ass movie. I was genuinely like, one of the times I cried was like out of happiness. Like the other ones, they like pulled at my heartstrings. But one, I was just like, the thing on the screen, I was like, I'm so happy. And I just, you know, tears came out. So that also happened yesterday when I watched Sing. That I like moved my mouse. I was like 70 minutes left. I was like, oh fuck yeah. Ooh. Then I did it again. I was like, ooh, 43 minutes left. Hell yeah, man. I don't gotta do shit for the next 43 minutes except enjoy this movie. Ooh. And I think, that's something you gotta practice, like especially as like I entered, real life, but like working. You gotta compartmentalize. Don't let like certain things affect your work, and then like really try to keep it, in that 8 to 5 window. Don't try to let work seep too much out because then you'll just, that's a recipe for burnout. Make use of that PTO and stuff like that. One other note I have on my notes is, I went to earlier this week, I went to the hospital to just do like a hearing check. And one thing I noticed, and I noticed this like 2 weeks ago because I had to go to the hospital for like a different appointment. I noticed, oh, why don't hospitals have cell service? Have you noticed that? Hospitals have no cell phone service. I don't know if it's every hospital, but like the hospitals I go to, I don't know if it's just me. Turns out I just never pay my phone bill. They're like, Garb, that's just because you don't pay for it. Oh, is that? Oh yeah. Now that I think about it, when I'm anywhere, I don't actually have cell service. That's a good point. It's not. I don't know why I singled it out to the hospital, but no, in hospitals you don't get cell service. And I thought about it. I was like, oh, isn't that kind of dangerous? But then I was like, no, that hospitals don't have cell service, which doesn't matter because anyone you would call in case of emergency is in that building, right? So it doesn't matter that you don't get cell service. Who are you gonna call? The person over there? Like it's just a walkie-talkie at that point. Just get up and go over there. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I didn't have cell service. I was like, this is a big deal. And I thought about it. I was like, I guess it's not actually. Anyways, I haven't posted a video in like 2 weeks, but I have 3 videos like fully recorded. One's a very, very long one. So like, I don't know when that one will come out. But in the other two, I'm like fully working on. One was the one I recorded last week, and then one was the one I recorded 2 weeks ago. Um, the one I recorded last week's the one I will come out with, and I'm gonna put it on record here and say that one will come out on Tuesday. So look for it. And I'm putting it out here so that I hold myself to it. So Tuesday around 7 or 8 p.m., main channel, I'll have a video. Okay, look out for it. Also, earlier this week, someone had said, I got in a call with someone and I said, hey. And they're like, hey, you good? Sound sick. I was like, oh, no, yeah, no, I'm good. Do I sound sick? They're like, yeah, you sound real sick. Sound stuffy. And I was like, oh, no, news to me. I thought I was good. And I was like, it might just be the call. But then later that day, my mom was like, hey, you good? You sound sick. I was like, what? This is just my voice. And so, yeah. I listen to myself a lot. Like my voice is the voice I think I hear the most because I've isolated myself and I have a podcast. But sometimes, you don't feel too hot about your voice. But I think I've gotten over that. But for two people in one day to be like, hey, your voice sounds sick. I was like, it's not exactly the bout of confidence I need right now? So, yeah, I hope I didn't sound sick on this podcast. And yeah, improvement's a good thing. But sometimes it gets exhausting. That was like the moral of this podcast. I don't know why I went back to it. All right. Well, thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next week. Okay. Bye.